Let's face it, life isn't easy. If you're stuck in a bad relationship, betrayed or afraid of tomorrow, financially insecure, or desperate for a breakthrough, you've come to the right place. Dr. Carmen Harra is a renowned psychologist, intuitive, relationship expert, and best-selling author, and she's here to give you the miracle guidance you need. Her new call-in show, Miracle Guidance for Everyday Life, offers profound wisdom, practical advice, daily exercises, and empowering predictions, all for you. Dr. Harra's show aims to eliminate everyday problems, big and small, with topics like healing your relationships, reclaiming your power, achieving better health, dealing with loss, and so much more. Regain the joy, stability, and fulfillment you deserve to feel. Tune in to Miracle Guidance for Everyday Life with host Dr. Carmen Harra, live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and find the answers you've been looking for.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Miracle Guidance. I'm your host, Dr. Carmen Harra. So excited to be with you tonight, and I have an amazing guest. And you know me very well. You know I would love to come up with something interesting, fascinating, everything that has to do with you getting better and finding new resources to improve your life and your health, because we all want to live a longer, healthier, and fuller life. But many of us, we will do anything to prolong our life. We exercise, we eat right, we get regular screening, but there is something more. So if I tell you that you just can reduce pain, inflammation, and feel better and be more energized by simply taking a teaspoon of something special every day, what will you say? You will say, what is that special? Give me more. No? So that's why tonight I have an amazing guest, because there is something that we can add to our daily routine to receive these incredible benefits. So my guest tonight is Chris Burres, a research engineer, a scientist whose primary mission is to help people live healthier, pain-free, and longer lives. He has a different background in the field of invention and manufacturing, with a BS in mechanical engineer from the University of Houston, but he's also the co-inventor of patents related to the use of explosive in downhole well drilling, a co-inventor of the most efficient fuel manufacturing equipment in use since 1991, and also the co-owner of a company that manufactures a unique product containing a Nobel-Prize winning molecule that has been shown to extend the lifespan of subject by 90%. And this is so incredible, because I want to tell you, the reason I'm promoting this and I'm so enthusiastic, I've been taking this for 3 years. And I know that Chris has tens of thousands of happy people, happy customers who vouch by something that he is promoting, and he created that is called C60, that helps people in so many ways. And I want to tell you a little bit, I'm not so good at promoting this history of the Nobel Prize winning of something that is called ESS60, but I will try my best just to make you understand how this all happened. In 85, there were three scientists, Dr. Richard Smalley, Dr. Harold Kroto, and Dr. Robert Koch, collaborating on an experiment with carbon. Now, we know very, very well, if we are visible, it's because within our body exists oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, water, gas, but carbon. And carbon makes us solid, makes us become visible. Otherwise, we will be invisible. We're made of gas and water. The collaboration between these three doctors started as a quest to identify light signals. And Dr. Kroto was observing that and theorized that these signals were coming from carbon. But there was no research showing that carbon gave off that particular light signal. Now, after identifying the structure, they named this new molecule like buckyball, and the white gamete of a molecule such as C70, C75, C85, fuelers are called by them. So for this great discovery, the research team won, actually, those 3 doctors won the Nobel Prize in a very short time, like something like 11 years. But the unique structure of a buckyball caused the scientific community to describe the molecule as a 3D version of benzene. Benzene, though, is toxic on its own because it's found in plastic, in lubricants, in detergents, in drugs, in pesticides. But modern society would make it impossible without the benzene. And since buckyball was linked to a D3 version of benzene, scientists theorized that the buckyball would also be a pivotal molecule for modern society. And this is why the research group won the Nobel Prize. So I'm trying to give you a little bit of history of this. And because it was believed that this buckyball would be used in so many applications, in 2012, a research group in Paris did a new famous peer review and published a toxicity study that turned into a lifespan study. And in this toxicity study, and this is what's very interesting, they gave 3 different groups of rats. They gave a group of rats water, another group of rats olive oil, and the third one olive oil with this buckyball. So the predominant way to purify the buckyball is to use liquid, which requires toxic chemicals. So ES60 is buckyballs that have been processed to remove the toxic chemicals. So what actually happened in the studies was that, the older rats that were given just water, they died with tumors. And all the other rats that were receiving the ES60 died with no tumors and lived twice as long as the other groups of rats. So what was noticing that huge difference between those rats that developed cancer and those that took this ES60 and they were protected by developing immunity, and their lifespan was incredibly long. It was actually turned into the single longest life extension study ever. So to me it's so remarkable. And and here is the moment in which I want to tell you that I have the co-owner of a company that created the S60, and I want him to explain you everything. I'm trying my best, but he is the one that who I actually applaud and admire, and I am so thrilled that we have them on the show. So Chris Burres, welcome to the show, and I'm very grateful that you're helping us with your amazing product.
Well, Dr. Carmen Harra, that was amazing. I feel like I could go. Your audience now understands C60, the difference between C60 and ESS60, which has been processed for safer consumption. The value, the history, the Nobel Prize history. I feel like I'm just here. Maybe I'm just here to sound pretty. Is that's your job also?
Well, I want to tell you, Chris, and everybody listening, I am taking this for 3 years, and I am so convinced that on me, it changed my life. I started to look better. Actually, I'm not getting old, I'm getting younger. I feel more energized. My skin looks better, more youthful. My hair started to grow. My vision got better. For years, it's like every person getting older, you start to lose your vision slowly, After 40-something, you start wearing glasses. Me, I'm not losing my vision. My doctor said, what are you doing? You see better today than you saw 3 years ago. So it's just, I speak from my own experience, and that's why I'm so enthusiastic. I'm so in love with what are you doing for the world, and I'm so thrilled that you are with us, So I want people, and I want you to give like a brief overview of C60 to our listener and understand what this is from your own perspective, like using your own words.
Yeah. So you did cover this, so there'll be a little bit of repeat here. I've been...
That's fine. I want to hear you saying it.
I've been with this molecule. So it is, to describe it, just imagine a soccer ball where the lines on the soccer ball represent the bonds between the carbon atoms. So you have a spherical molecule of 60 carbon atoms. The molecule was discovered in '85, and I've been manufacturing. My business partner and I created the most efficient equipment to manufacture this particular molecule and all the collections of fullerenes back in 1991. That was the first year we started business. And discovered in '85, they won the Nobel in '96. So 5 years before they won the Nobel Prize, we started selling the material. We actually visited the lab. It was actually discovered here in Houston. That's where I'm based, at Rice University, a very prestigious university. And when Robert and I were working to figure out the best way to manufacture this equipment, we visited Dr. Smalley's lab. I mean, we have really been,
You did?
in fact, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
My business partner has purchased had a beer with Dr. Robert Curl.
I love
so,
it.
we've been around these Nobel Prize winners from the very beginning. It's just been, back then we're still in college. It's exciting. We're starting a business.
Right.
And it's amazing, right? Like, hey, wow, this stuff that we work on, 5 years after we started manufacturing and selling it to research institutions around the world, the guys who discovered it actually won the Nobel Prize. This is just an amazing vantage point. So I understand why you might be interested in kind of hearing my journey. So started the company in '91. We're the first company that still exists. So kind of I have to admit that a company beat us in manufacturing and selling. Back then, it was just for industrial purposes, so C60.
Right.
They didn't survive 9 months, right? So it really is, some 32 years and 3 months ago that they closed, and we've been going strong ever since.
That's so remarkable. I applaud you. I'm so thrilled with what you're doing and how you made it and it's getting better and better, and people start to acknowledge, what this is all about and how beneficial it is for their health. Tell me a little bit, how do you manufacture it, by the way? Are there any steps that you...
One of the things that people often do ask is just why is the material so expensive? Whether that's the raw material, whether that's the material that's been dissolved in olive oil as converted into ESS60 and then dissolved in olive oil as a supplement. And the reason is it's just incredibly expensive to manufacture. Let me start that by saying this is a naturally occurring molecule, right? If you collect the soot of a candle flame, so imagine you've got a candle burning and you put a cold plate of steel over it, that cold plate of steel is going to get that black soot to condense on it.
True.
If you do a measurement on that soot, you will find parts per million or parts per billion of buckyballs on it. So we have all been exposed to this in the past. I kind of have this crazy, wild idea. If you go back to biblical times, they talk about people living hundreds of years, right? And in my mind, right, I'm trying to wrestle with maybe we were exposed to more soot back then, and we know that to be true just because of candles, but the right kind of soot or the right kind of oil that created the soot. So we had a lot more exposure to this molecule, and then that went away because of whatever the modernization was that caused it, switching from whale oil to oil, in the ground, whatever it was. I try to reconcile that because this is a naturally occurring molecule. You were right. It was one of the professors, actually, Harold Kroto, is an astrophysicist and was interested in understanding a spectrum that he saw out in space. He theorized that it would be carbon. He visited Dr. Smalley and Robert Curl here, also a doctor here in Houston, and tried to convince them, this is kind of a cool part of the story, tried to convince them to put carbon into his equipment. And Dr. Smalley's response on 3 separate occasions, literally all 3 times that he asked, was, I'm not interested in doing boring carbon. Like, I'm currently doing really sexy things like titanium and, exotic steels, and so I don't want to put any of this boring carbon in my piece of equipment. 3 times. Actually, on the 3rd time, one of his grad students, Heath, I'm trying to remember his last name, first name was Heath, said, listen, Dr. Croto, I'm coming in over the weekend. I'll throw some of your boring carbon into our piece of equipment that you're so interested in us looking at it. And he did, and he actually noticed that there was basically what this equipment would do would vaporize graphite. Graphite is one of graphite is one of the hardest materials on the planet to vaporize. Extremely difficult, extremely high temperatures. And we'll talk about that in a second because that's part of the production process. So I'm going to vaporize this. It takes a puff of inert gas and takes that vapor that it just created and it pushes it into a mass spectrometer so it can figure out what are the individual molecules that are coming off of this laser ablation process. And they thought what would happen are just flat sheets of carbon. But they noticed that there was a peak at C60 and a peak at C70. And if you're thinking about just making a bunch of flat plates of carbon, why would C60 be a preferred flat plate, right? It really has the exact same structure versus 59 or 61. And the answer is there is no reason. Like there's no real reason if we're making flat plates that a 60 carbon atom flat plate would be preferential to 61 or 59. So they started theorizing, well, there must be some other shape. They started looking. They went to the story is fascinating. There's a book called The Most Beautiful Molecule, which is an appropriate description. You know, again, this is a soccer ball-shaped molecule. It's amazing, named after Buckminster Fuller, who is the one who presented the geodesic dome really to society. He didn't invent it, but he was the biggest champion of that geodesic dome. And if you've ever been to Epcot Center, or I always like to talk about when you go to a lot of beach towns, they'll have these round houses. Those are based off of the geodesic dome. So they started researching. They finally figured out there's this kind of pivotal moment where Dr. Richard Smalley is taping individual components together. He's actually taping together hexagons and pentagons, and he finally gets the perfect shape. It's the soccer ball shape. It's got all 60 carbon atoms, and he drops it, and in this dramatic moment, it bounces, and that is the discovery of carbon-60, which is amazing. The molecule, the way I describe it, it performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. So it makes better inks, better batteries, better tires, better photocells. And this is often when the audience starts getting nervous because we are talking about a supplement. And we just mentioned that it makes better ink, batteries, tires, and photocells. But that's where it is. That's the industrial side of things. That's the C60 side of things. If you think about it in terms of a supplement, you want to be thinking in terms of ESS60, right? Like that's been processed for human consumption.
That's what I want to ask you, so that everybody listening, you need to understand the difference between ESS60 and C60. Can you make that clear to our listeners? The difference between these two.
Yeah, the best, and this is supported with peer-reviewed published research, right? So really carbon-60, C60, is for industrial applications, right? And that's ink, batteries, tires, photocells. And there is peer-reviewed published research that proves, it doesn't suggest, it proves that when you improperly process C60, it is harmful. ESS60 is C60, that industrial component that's been further refined and processed so that it's safer for human consumption, right? So if you're going to consider putting this in your body, and the research, like me, I obviously have a vested interest. It's my company, we sell the product. But if it were me just looking at the research, I'm going, this is the single longest longevity experimental result ever. It would be extremely surprising if I were to take this thing that had those test subjects, in this case it was Wistar rats, live 90% longer, and somehow it didn't help how I felt in some way, right? We got to be real careful when talking about health and impact, and we can't make any health claims because it hasn't gone through the right research. We can just let you know about the research that's been done, share with you that biohackers are they were the first group to take it. They're taking it left and right. That's kind of a wacky group. I can affectionately call them wacky because now I am one, right? Since this has come out as a supplement, I've dug into, and in fact, about to publish a book, Live Longer and Better, because
now...
now...
you need to publish this book, yeah.
Yes, it's already submitted to the publisher, so we're talking a month and a half, 2 months
out. Which publisher, by the way? Can I ask which publisher?
That is a great question. I have a co-author, and my co-author is actually a 2-time New York #1 bestseller. So
so then he knows. Then he knows, because I would have offered to help, because I published 10 books myself. But if you have somebody who's on the New York Times bestselling list, he knows very well. Yeah.
Yeah, I hit the co-author lottery, and it's been a joy to write this book and really share the story that I'm sharing right now with a lot more detail and a little bit more science where it makes sense. But yeah, so that book is coming out soon.
Fabulous. When is the book gonna be out?
It's going to be probably a month and a half to 2 months. We're actually working on the website for the book, and then it's been submitted to the publisher.
I would love to have you back on the show. I'll have to have you back on the show so that people go and buy the book, because this is the way people will understand better the mechanism, of what's going on here to help them. Now, are there specific steps you take in order to filter the toxicity so you make this product 100% safe?
Yeah. So, and there's organizations out there that do in fact sell C60. They sell carbon 60.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Yes.
It makes me nervous, and the reason is first off, we've been manufacturing this molecule since 1991. We provided the material in the original study. The study was out of the University of Paris. Dr. Fatih Musa is actually a research we're about to publish a paper with, right? And we're submitting that paper to science.org, a prestigious, extremely prestigious publication. And, we've been doing this and working with this kind of extremely novel material for 31, 32 years, right? What you find is there are organizations claiming that they have higher purity. There are organizations claiming that it's produced a different way.
A lot of them. Yeah, a lot of them. Even if you go to Amazon and if all kinds of people claim they have it, they manufacture it, they try to sell it. And I know that is not what you are promoting. That's not the real thing. It's like you sell something that is fake,
Yeah, well, this is a perfect, let's segue back into how this is manufactured. And then your audience can go, oh, that guy on Amazon is probably not doing that, right? Like that's not happening at their lab. They don't know what they're doing.
Right.
In order to manufacture this, again, it's a naturally occurring molecule, but in order to manufacture it, you take 2 graphite rods and you vaporize them. And I already mentioned graphite is the hardest material on the planet to vaporize. So you're using local temperatures of the sun to vaporize these 2 graphite rods. You also have to do it at a reduced atmosphere. What that means is at a slight vacuum. So you've got a vacuum chamber. It cannot have any oxygen in it. It's got to be backfilled with an inert gas. Nitrogen is a good example. And then you vaporize those graphite rods. When you vaporize those graphite rods, there's a looking glass, so you can see this vaporization process happening. We have welding goggles that set over the looking glass. So once the arc starts up, those welding glasses protect the eyes of the operator really from getting burned. Like you could burn your retina by looking at that. It's local temperatures of the sun. If you leave the welding glasses off and it shines on your skin, like on your neck, you will get a sunburn. Because it is local temperatures of the sun. So you got to manage all this heat in a vacuum chamber. You've got these graphite rods that are being pushed at each other, right? Because as the tips vaporize, the gaps get bigger, so you got to keep pushing these rods in together, right? This is extremely difficult. My business partner and I, Robert and I, designed, built, and have made multiple iterations of the manufacturing equipment that is the most efficient way to create the soot that comes off of that. Now, you heard me correctly. I said soot. I didn't say C60. What comes off of that is soot. 90% of that soot, if you're lucky, if you know what you're doing, 90% of that soot is garbage. Only 10% of that soot is fullerenes, Again, I didn't say C60. I said fullerene because it's C60, C70, C76, C84, all of these higher fullerenes. And so you need to take those graphite rods, 90% of it you throw away, 10% of it now has really about 80% C60 in it, and you got to refine that. And that refining process requires solvents, and those are solvents that you really don't want to have in your final product. And then you further refine it, and you end up with an ultra pure C60. We hear people going, oh, if it has solvents exposure, it's not as good. We have solvent exposure, it's a problem. And I have to ask, like, in the study that used my lab's material, the test subjects lived 90% longer. Clearly, if there were even like parts per billion of a solvent there, by the way, we've done the right tests. We understand that as a final product, in the worst case scenario, our product has 1/10,000th the amount that the EPA would allow in your drinking water. So at the end of the day, when you get to ESS 60, the solvents aren't a problem. So if you're fixated on the solvents, you've succumbed to some sort of marketing, and you have you've gotten steered off of the right thing, which is, do they have 32 years of manufacturing this molecule experience? Do they own a lab so they can confirm what they have in their product? And do they have the integrity to put out the best possible product? And we've been doing it for 32 years.
Incredible. Now let's tell the audience, and then we take a caller who's interested in this to see what question she has. So Valerie, hold on the line. We'll be with you in a minute. Tell us a little bit about, to your understanding, what are the health benefits of this? So why people should take it? Yeah.
So it's interesting when you start sharing this story, and that's really my job now, is just to share the story of these Wistar rats living 90% longer, right? When you start sharing that, it's interesting. You get a couple of responses. One of the responses, which has been very consistent from New Yorkers, is, why would you want a rat to live longer? You, Chris, you need to destroy this information. You need to never tell anyone about this study, and never give this to rats ever again. And then some people, and it surprises me, some people come back and say, I'm not really interested. Why would I want to live longer? Which is a little surprising to me, because I've always had it in my mind that I want to live longer, that I want to live to, my number has been 125. But, if I'm honest, 125 doesn't look that good, right? Like it comes with some infirmment that I'm not, that I wish I...
Can I say something? Can I say something? I have to interrupt you. My grandmother lived 103, but her mother lived 112. And she was perfectly fine at 111, still very okay, still in her mind. And you talking about somebody who never heard of doctors. She was living in the countryside somewhere in the northern part of Romania. And at 110, she was she owned a lot of land. She was very wealthy. And she was fighting she actually died talking.
Wow.
It's incredible.
What a great way to go.
So we go back in time, how is that possible, But it is a reality. It happened in my family. And people are going to say, well, you have longevity, but I don't want to live that long. No, I want to live that long if I'm okay, like the way she was, perfectly fine. And if you think of who lived 109, Senator, whose mother lived, I have a blank right now, but I know we had examples of people living very long life and very okay. For everybody who says, no, I just want to die because I don't want to be old, that's not true. If you're fine, if you function, if you're okay, if you enjoy life, you can live 200 years. And I really believe that in the future, humanity will start living longer life. And I think this is just the beginning. And the work that you do is so revolutionary because it opens doors to the possibility of prolonging life. And you came up with something it's so remarkable, so extraordinary. But people need to know about this. People need to know. But the product that you are giving to people is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I think a way to look at it, right? And this is, again, about to publish the book, Live Longer and Better, is there's a thing called the terminal velocity of aging. And what it refers to is every day we age 1 day, right? And medical science's job is to extend our ability to live longer, right? So at the point that when we live 1 day, the medical science, the medical community can extend our life 1 day, then ostensibly we would not die of natural causes, right? Of course, if you get hit by a bus, jump out of a plane, and the parachute doesn't work, these are things like they're not putting you back. There's no Humpty Dumpty going on in that particular situation, right? But that terminal velocity of aging, what that means is at some point in the future, and I believe it's getting closer and closer, the rate of change that we're experiencing right now is it's mind-boggling, right? It's just literally like you think about ChatGPT and how crazy that is, and how crazy accurate it is, and powerful it is. It didn't exist yesterday. Well, I mean, they were working on it, but like nobody knew about it, and now it's the next huge thing, and you're potentially going to dethrone a Google search engine in the right circumstances. Like things are changing really fast, and what that means is at some point there will be a last person who dies of natural causes. And again, we're not talking about being infirmed and basically being in a coma for those last years or whatever. We're talking about somebody's going to die of natural causes. Maybe like your grandmother, right? Who was kind of lucid and doing well, and then it was a short period of time of decline, and then she passed. I think that's kind of what we all would wish for.
She didn't suffer. She didn't suffer. That woman didn't suffer. She just died, arguing with the people working on her land, but she was perfectly fine just before that, That's
amazing.
Yeah.
That's the way. I think people talk about dying in your sleep. Like if you're in the middle of a sentence, then I mean, how much pain are you having? Like you're living life still, and then you're not. But at some point, the last person who dies of natural causes, it would kind of suck to be that person, right? So it's driven me to research, what are the current ways available to live longer, to live a more youthful life, to live a healthier life, to be a healthier person. Because I'm hopeful that I can get across that finish line, and it's part of the reason of writing the book is so we can encourage other people to get across the finish line. Because at the end of the day, like if you exercise good and you get good sleep and you have proper nutrition and you feel better, like that's a better way to live, like at the end of the day. And what you're potentially buying yourself is immeasurable, right? There are people who are like, I'm going to eat bacon every day, and you can have debates about, carnivore diet or whatever. I think they're, really tough debates to have. Tough debates mean there's not much argument for a significant carnivore diet, but you can have these debates about them. And if that's the path you're down, like what are you really about? Okay, you got to enjoy bacon, but at what cost, right? And the cost gets more expensive as we approach this terminal velocity of aging. And so when you phrase the question, and Carmen, you nailed it. Like when you change the question to, if you have the same mental capacity that you have today, and you have the same physical capacity that you have today, would you then be interested in living longer? And that's when people's minds start to shift and they start to focus on the right thing, right? How do I live a happy, healthy life? And to be honest, and you'll appreciate this with your background, there still are a number of people who are like, I still don't want to live longer. And I think, well, they need to spend time with you. They need to, there's a lot of joy in life that you can have. If you're not having that joy, like make changes, because you might be here a lot longer, and it feels longer if you're miserable.
Yeah, unfortunately, we live in a very depressed world. A lot of people suffering of mental disorders. We see what's going on in the world with all this killing and everything. It's a very disturbing situation. But reality is that there are some principles of good health and longevity, and one of them is that cultivate awareness. In what you and I are doing here is we cultivate awareness. And we want people to be more proactive. We want them to seek joy. We want them to find balance. We want them to return to Mother Nature, to treasure awareness, to know their genetic code. I mean, we want them to understand all of this, but I also want them to understand that you came up with something that is so extraordinary. And again, let's summarize the benefits of taking your product, because I want people to go and take this product. It's so significant for their health. They need to understand that this is something that can really make them be healthy and get better, and stop the pain, stop the suffering. It's a very powerful product for improving health. And just tell us in summarize in 3-4 sentences, what are the benefits of taking it?
Can I have a little bit more than 3 or 4 sentences? Because I can take you on.
Absolutely.
Okay, I can take you on it.
As you want.
I can take you on a very interesting journey, right? So a lot of people, great, these test subjects, again, West Star rats, live 90% longer. Chris, why did that happen? And current medical thought, the medical community looks at aging really from 2 perspectives, as an oxidation process and as an inflammation process. And we can
You're right. Oxidation and inflammation. That's it. That's perfectly said.
Right, and we can tick both of those boxes. Now, you've mentioned health, and there's a lot of benefits here. I do need to add this, that the FDA has not evaluated our product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. And that's a legal requirement to say it, but it's also the right thing to do, because we need more research. Like there's more research. This is we're presenting a cutting edge material. We're presenting a cutting edge supplement, and so it shouldn't be for everyone. Like that's the reality. It's for me, and it's for you, but it's not necessarily for everyone. So in terms of an antioxidant, there's an ad hoc study. So just a study out on the web that mentions that really this ESS60 molecule in olive oil is 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. And then there's peer-reviewed published research that shows it to be 125 times more powerful than vitamin C. So yes, it's a great antioxidant. When it comes to inflammation, what the FDA will allow us to say is that it is good for inflammation, at least as it relates to exercise-induced inflammation, right? So we've all had a big workout, or we've walked an extra long distance, a vacation maybe, and we've felt that being inflamed the next day. So the FDA allows us to say that we address that. What the FDA doesn't allow us to say is that we address any other type of inflammation. And I'll throw out there that we can say that this fits perfectly in the anti-inflammatory diet. And you're familiar with this, right? Like this is the blue zone people. The people who they tend to live longer, they tend to die, have less incidence of stroke, they tend to have less incidences of heart attack, and that is an anti-inflammatory diet. So we fit in that. Now I'm going to circle back, because I think last time we visited, I didn't really, we hadn't honed in on a perplexing issue, right? So we get testimonials, and have gotten testimonials really since 2017 of amazing improvements from head to toe. And when I say from head to toe, I'm literally talking, some people will share, again, not making a claim, but some people will share, my hair is growing faster. In fact, you mentioned, alluded something along those lines. And other people, so like in an instance, my wife is like, she broke her toe healed faster. So we're literally talking about testimonials, not scientifically proven, but testimonials from head to toe. And, it's my job to have some sort of explanation for this. Well, our most consistent testimonial is that people take our product, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night, right? That's the most consistent. If you just get better sleep, that can address head-to-toe improvements, right? Because we all
Sure.
understand that sleep is good for our mental, physical, and emotional well-being. So if we're
Absolutely,
getting that
yeah.
better sleep, but now we've got something even stronger, right? And this is kind of moved in this direction because of research that's become available, peer-reviewed published research. We know that this soccer ball-shaped molecule, again, ESS60, can get into the mitochondria. And right, so now we're going to get
Yes.
a little subcellular. So
Yes.
let's talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell in your body. Every cell in your body has between 50 and 5,000. It actually, your blood cells don't. Those are the only cells that don't have mitochondria in them. But every other cell in your body has between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria. The purpose of the mitochondria is to generate energy for the cell. So basically to take the food that we've digested and gotten into our bloodstream, convert that into ATP. That is the energy source that your cells use to do their job, whether they're doing their liver cell job, their heart cell job, whatever job they're doing, they need ATP, which is produced by mitochondria. We all know that something that produces energy tends to produce byproducts that we don't like. So your car going down the road, it's producing energy from gas, and you're getting the exhaust. You don't like the exhaust. Your power plant is, hopefully not burning coal, but if it's burning natural gas, it's producing byproducts that we don't like, right? That are toxic, actually.
Right.
Your mitochondria does the same thing. It produces ROSs, reactive oxygen species, and inside the mitochondria, they're oxidative species. There are already antioxidants that are typically present in your mitochondria called glutathione and melatonin.
Glutathione, exactly, yeah.
Interesting that it's melatonin. That's the sleep hormone, our most consistent testimonial.
Yes.
Better sleep that night, right?
Right.
So
right.
we also understand that glutathione and melatonin can get depleted in a particular mitochondria, in a particular cell in our body. And so that's when the reactive oxygen species escape the mitochondria and go around, and I describe them as running around like little bumper cars doing damage everywhere, that they're causing aging everywhere they go. Another way to think about it. Now we know that the ESS60 molecule, the soccer ball shaped molecule, gets into the mitochondria. And we know that it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles. Reactive oxygen species are negatively charged particles. So here's the current theory. BOSS, buffering oxidative stress system. So ESS60 is a BOSS. It buffers the oxidative stress. Picture it this way. It's Mardi Gras. You're in New Orleans. It's the end of Mardi Gras, and you got a bunch of drunken ROSs, reactive oxygen species, running around and breaking windows, tearing up cars, tearing over lampposts. And the police, glutathione and melatonin, that are normally in New Orleans, are busy because they're taking care of other reactive oxygen species, other kind of drunk partygoers. The ESS60 molecule can act as a paddy wagon. So it can go in, and instead of needing the glutathione and melatonin to take care of them right away, it can go and get attached, like getting put in a paddy wagon, attached to the ESS60 molecule. And then when the mitochondria is able to replenish the glutathione and melatonin, it can then go grab those reactive oxygen species off of the ESS60 molecule and take them down to the police station or get them out of your body. This is the BOSS theory of ESS60, and that, we think, right, there's good reasons to believe this, is the reason we get head-to-toe testimonials.
Right. Yeah, I was planning to ask you about the BOSS theory, but now we got it. So everybody listening, and I cannot agree with you there with the mitochondria. It's all about that, it's all about the life of the mitochondria and improving the members of the cell. So this is why this product is so revolutionary and is so powerful, and taken on a daily basis, it can really change your life in an amazing way. You will get so much, not only better sleep and better energy and everything, but this chance of slowing down the aging process. I think that, in my opinion, that's what this does. And I have my opinion because I'm taking it for 3 years, and I'm very grateful to you because I feel my life getting better in so many ways.
Well, couldn't be happier. You know, it's a unique situation that I'm in because I really do believe most people get into the supplement industry one of two ways, right? One way is they wake up and they decide they're going to be wealthy and they decide that they're going to sell supplements, and hopefully they sell good supplements, and I have no problem with people being wealthy. It's just not how I ended up here, right? The other way is that people have their own health problems or the health problem of a loved one, and they go out and solve it with supplementation, and now they want to save the world, right?
Right.
And hopefully it doesn't surprise you. I am not against people saving the world. I'm very much for people saving the world. It's just not how I ended up here. You know, I've been manufacturing this molecule since 1991. Great for industrial applications. They actually thought it would be toxic. They put it in this crazy toxicity study, and instead of being toxic, the test subjects lived 90% longer. And now I'm in the supplement industry, just trying to be a good steward of this information and share with people, you know, this what I consider an opportunity. And I'm very lucky to have the privilege to do what I do now. I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity and a better mission.
Yeah, but one thing that I'd love to ask you, so can you actually take ESSS60 with other supplements, with vitamins, with other medication? Is it okay to take it?
That is a great question. So there currently are no studies that indicate whether it's a medication or a supplement or whatever it is, that there's some adverse interactions. I certainly would suggest if you're taking some kind of serious medications on a daily basis, that you might want to check with your physician. To date, we don't have any adverse. In fact, a lot of people are like, okay, so what's the downside, Chris? Like, does it taste incredibly horrible, or does it, I don't know, do something bad? There are two complaints that we get, and there's a small amount of people, but these are the only complaints. So one of them is the product is in olive oil. You're familiar with a high-quality olive oil. A lot of Americans are not familiar with a high-quality olive oil, and so it can leave a peppery flavor at the back of your throat because it's a high-quality extra virgin olive oil, and some people don't like that. The nice thing is you can just take a sip of water and it's gone. It's not a medicinal flavor or something that lingers. It just goes away with a sip of water. A lot of people really, I'll be honest, like the Europeans typically love it. They consume a lot more olive oil, and so they're very much more used to the flavor. So that's one. The other is our typical serving, and after this I can talk about what I do on a daily basis, but our typical serving is at about a teaspoon. And if you're adding a teaspoon of olive oil to your diet, your body chemistry is not necessarily used to it. So it'll run through you a little bit for a day or two, right? It's nothing violent. You're not running for the bathroom or anything, but it can affect your stool. But that's a couple days because you're not used to taking that oil. Just the value of the olive oil is phenomenal. Like I love Dr. Gundry. I don't know if you follow Dr. Gundry at all.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Yeah, and I was on his I was on his podcast at one point, and what I love, he says, is the purpose of food is to get more olive oil into your mouth. So olive oil and its polyphenols are really phenomenal for your health, and you know, an important part of the blue zone anti-inflammatory diets.
Absolutely, I cannot agree with you more. And I know he, by the way, he found his own or created his own olive oil. I don't know if you know that. It's just it's to promote the best quality of olive oil. Yeah. Yes. No.
It's a
And if you think of the Mediterranean, I've studied the nutrition at Cornell University, so I have a doctorate in nutrition myself. But I want to tell you that it's remarkable. If you think of the Mediterranean diet, olive oil is their number one product. And if you think of the Greeks, there's Greeks who live 120, 125, and the secret is that this Mediterranean diet that is based on olive oil. So you can see that we can prove all of this.
And that's the transport agent for our ESS60 molecule. So no surprises of the benefits there.
it's genius the way is using olive oil. The combination is absolutely brilliant. It cannot be. I don't know if we still have Valerie. I'm going to ask my producer if she's still with us. We had a lot of people, a lot of callers that wanted to talk to you. And if you don't mind, if she's still with us, I'm going to take a caller. Hi, Valerie. Are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
So what do you think of this amazing product?
Fascinating. I Googled Chris's name and came up with My Vital C. Is that the website?
Yes.
That's one. Yeah.
But we have a specific link. We do have a specific link for Carmen, which I would ask you to use, which is myvitalc.com/Carmen.
Okay.
So if you put a /Carmen, you get a 15% off the discount of your order. So so please, take this and tell me how amazing you're gonna feel, and how you're gonna get better and healthier. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Now, I'm on the website, but I see it's an olive oil, MCT oil, and avocado. Is there
let me run you through what I do and then give you my recommendation. So on a daily basis, there is a thing called the Bulletproof Diet, was kind of brought to the forefront from Dave Asprey, and it's one of the basic tenets of the diet is you replace your breakfast with a cup of coffee that has ghee, so purified butter, and MCT. So I'll do that. I've actually kind of trimmed down the purified butter, and I use our product, our MCT product, and that's in my coffee. That's obviously oil. MCT is an oil, and the coffee's water-based, so that mixes. While that's mixing, I'll take a teaspoon and a half of our olive oil product. And then for lunch, I typically have a salad, and I'm eating our avocado product on that salad. So when people ask, what should I order? I will tell you the olive oil for two reasons. The first reason is we are a science-based organization, and all of the research is on the olive oil product. So that is, I always lean to where is the science. And then the second is we actually get the highest concentration of the ESS60 molecule in olive oil. So you get about 0.8 milligrams per milliliter in olive oil, about 0.6 in the avocado oil, and then about 0.3 in the MCT. So if you're on the fence, go with the olive oil. And we also have an olive oil product for cats and dogs. So we've added some bacon essence to the version for dogs, and that's an olive oil base. And then we've added some salmon to the version for cats.
Yeah, I was looking at that as well. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I need to take for my I have cats and dogs, and I'm gonna go and buy for them. So I was not sure whether you can use them for pets.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and the dogs love the bacon essence, the cats love the salmon essence. It's right. My dog will wait until we put the dropper of the product in her food.
And how much you give? It shows how much you use for the animals.
Yeah, it's really one dropper, which is about 1 ml.
One dropper. Dropper. Yeah.
Yep. As you get to larger pets, you might do 2 or 3. But yeah, on a whatever medium-sized pet, it's about 1.5 droppers.
And
right.
So,
any questions you have, Valerie? Any questions you have to Chris?
Yes. So this is going to help with inflammation as well as circulation?
Yeah, so I've got to be really careful, and I think you understand, given the nature of the FDA. And then again, just to reiterate, we haven't been evaluated by the FDA. None of these claims have been evaluated by the FDA. We're not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. When it comes to inflammation, we've got a lot of testimonials in that neighborhood. What we're allowed to say is, like I mentioned, that we positively address inflammation related to exercise-induced inflammation. We can't speak about anything else, whether we've got good results or not. I would just recommend you try it and see how you feel on it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
But based on everything that Chris tried to explain to you, talking about oxidation, inflammation, and what this does, it helps exactly, that's why more powerful than vitamin C, 120, 175 times more powerful than vitamin C. What else you need, you know? And that definitely is going to help you with the inflammation. And it works directly to the members of the cell with the mitochondria. So it is giving energy to the cells. It protects the telomere, the extremities of the cell. So this is the way, you know, you will notice that you get better, and this is where the longevity comes in place. That's why people take it on a regular, but you have to take it on a regular basis. This becomes your routine. If you want to live a longer life, prevent inflammation, which is the cause of all diseases and oxidation. If you do that, then definitely, you know, you live a longer, healthier life with this product. And okay, not approved, doesn't matter. You know, the bottom line is we try to bring Chris, and we're grateful to him to explain that this remarkable product should be taken by everybody who wants to live a healthy and happy life. And thank you, Valerie, but most of all, thank you, Chris. You've been amazing, like always. I want to be with you again when the book is out. If there's anything I can help with the book, let me know. If I can promote it, I would love to do that. I would love to do a live with you, Chris, on social media. Let me know if you can do that.
I'll do a live anytime you want. Just let me know.
Okay. Much gratitude. I'm Carmen Harra. Thank you for listening. And remember, you know, go to my vitamin